We are back. New year, new inventions. I am your host, Dave, 10-year intellectual property attorney, dealing with everything from trademarks, trade secrets, copyrights, as well as patents. It seems like we got an interesting one fresh off the press from the Ford Motor Company. It seems like that spare tire carrier on the Bronco, it seems like they're doing some updates to it, some modifications to it that kind of may make its way in production. I have to we're going to go through the article. We're actually going to take a look at the patent that just the patent application I should say that just published. We're going to take a look at the claims. What are they trying to protect? And I'm going to show you how to read a patent claim as a 10-year intellectual property. Please hit the like button for the YouTube algorithm, as well as hit the subscribe button to be a part of the IP community. I would love to have you as part of the IP community. And not only that, I actually want to hear from you guys in the comment section. I want to know, have you seen, do you think this is new? Has this invention already been out there? And would you, purchase a vehicle, purchase one of the Ford trucks or whatnot that has this kind of new and improved spare tire carrier at its rear? That's some of the questions that I would like to hear from you guys as we go on here. But in the meantime, let's kind of pull up the article. And this is actually from Ford Authority. Patent filing suggests Ford Bronco may get pivotal tire carrier. So Ford Motor Company, I think this was yesterday, so really fresh off the press. Ford Motor Company has filed a patent for a pivotal tire carrier that may be used on the Ford Bronco in the future. Actually, I have a buddy who has a Ford Bronco. Pretty sweet vehicle. The patent was filed June 21st, 2023, published December 26, 2024. So we're going to take a little bit more of a detailed look at the patent application, but this is the front page of the patent application. And again, just to let you guys know, when you file a patent application, it typically publishes 18 months after filing the application. So it seemed like in this case, it's a couple of days off between 21st and the 26th. But yeah, typically patent applications, so essentially a year and a half from when you file the application, it will publish. I'm not sure why this one, it's definitely 18 months. I'm not sure what made this one go to December 26th as opposed to December 21st, but heck, it's a holiday, so who knows? But this is kind of what it looks like. This is the obviously the spare tire. This is the kind of the tailgate or the rear door of the Bronco. And this is actually the assembly that they're protecting, this little bracket assembly. So let's take a little bit more of a deep dive into the article. Ford has filed a few patents exploring different types of spare tires that it may one day deploy on future vehicles. And that's interesting. And I want to stop the article right now, or kind of come back on me, because just because you file for patent protection on an actual invention, that doesn't necessarily mean you have to actually use it. Now, you do have the ability to manufacture, to sell it, to use the invention. But unlike, I know I just did a video on trademarks where you actually have to be using a trademark in commerce, you don't have to do that with a patent. You can actually get a patent and sit on it. So a lot of times when you see these patent applications being filed, you see these patents being awarded, that doesn't necessarily mean that you will see it out on the market, or that particular company has any plans on put it into production. We call it that particular invention. With these R&D budgets of billions of dollars, especially with the big companies, they have to continue to do R&D, continue to invent, continue to create things. And a lot of times they file applications as a response to that, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they are going to actually you'll see that in production, or at least in this case on one of the Ford Broncos. Let's see here. So Ford has filed a few patent applications or patents exploring different types of spare tires that it may one day deploy on future vehicles, including ideas for a spare tire inflation system. Now that'd be interesting. I have to kind of look more into that. And a spare tire cover system that could wind up on a Ford Bronco. Now, this newly published patent presents us with a rather interesting concept for a pivotal tire carrier that may be used on a Ford Bronco at some point in the future too. Man, that spare tire inflation system, that definitely has some uses. And I got a Jeep that just went on flat. I got two vehicles, thankfully, but I got a Jeep Grand Cherokee, and it just went on flat. So I got to kind of get a new tire for that. But again, this is, some of the pictures you see here, a little bit more detail with, again, this is the tailgate or the rear hatch of the Ford Bronco. And you see the spare tire, and 18 is the bumper. And really, this 22 thing is the spare tire assembly or support, where you see these, and we'll get off into a little when we break down the claims. But this thing kind of, this component that number 22 is pointing to allows this spare tire to pivot back and forth. And I'm assuming that this is the deployed position. And this right here in figure 1 is the stove position. So let's continue to read. Currently, the Ford Bronco carries a spare tire on the tailgate, which is bolted in place and fixed in terms of how it moves along with the tailgate when it's open or closed. So it seems like currently Ford does not allow that spare tire to move relative to the tailgate. It's fixed on the tailgate. So when the tailgate is closed, you see, it's in a position right here, but when it's open, it's still kind of fixed to the tailgate in that same position. So it seems like, at least with regard to Ford, this is how they currently do things. However, this patent explores a rather interesting concept, attaching a carrier assembly to the rear of the Ford Bronco that will pivot away from the tailgate by using two different arms. As Ford points out in the patent, such a system could provide a way to move the spare tire without interfering with the opening and closing of the tailgate itself. So essentially what Ford is trying to solve for is to say, hey, look here, sometimes we don't want to have to open and close or open a tailgate to get the spare tire off. We want to just be able to remove the spare tire without opening the tailgate. And this assembly, what do they call it here? This carrier assembly. So 22 with these two arms here is the carrier assembly that does it. And these are a little bit more details. It seems like they got some posts here. We'll get off into the patent. Like I said, I'll let you guys know. I'll teach you guys how to read a patent. We're only going to go through one claim. But let's finish out this article beforehand. This type of component already exists in the aftermarket. So the article is actually saying this already exists in the aftermarket, which is interesting. Because for those of you who don't know, to get it a patent on something has to be new and non-obvious. And if they're saying this already exists in the aftermarket, it's almost like saying it's not new. But let's see here. And many use it for carrying things like bicycle, kayaks, or skis for precisely that reason. They can mount those type of things on the rear of a vehicle and move them around when they need to gain access to the rear cargo area of the vehicle without having to remove them or the mount. Regardless, having a feature like this available from the factory may be attractive to Ford Bronco customers or existing ones. It offered as a separate accessory too. I mean, like I said, that's interesting, and I'm gonna bring up the patent here, but I mean that's interesting because as a patent attorney who's been doing this for 10 years, I'm going to tell you to have a patent on something has to be new, which means that it can't be out there already. It has to be non-obvious. So you guys have to let me know in the comment section, have you guys seen this particular type of invention before? Again, they're not claiming a tailgate. They're not protecting the tailgate. They're not protecting the spare tire. They're actually just protecting or inventing this, what do they call it? The cargo mount assembly. Is the cargo mount assembly. They're only protecting the actual carrier assembly that carries the tire. The carrier assembly is supporting the tire, but it's also fixed to the tailgate. That's the actual thing that's being protected. So you guys have to let me know, do you know of anything else out there that's similar that you think is going to protect or prevent Ford from getting a patent, not on a spare tire, not on a tailgate, but on a carrier assembly that's attached to the tailgate and that supports the spare tire? Again, this carrier assembly is supposedly pivots. We're going to get off into the patent, but I'd love to hear from you guys as I pull up that in the comment section. Let's go here. Go to the tire screen. Let's pull it up like that. So this is the patent application. I have the drawings, and I kind of scroll down to figure 6 just because I think this is probably the easiest or the best figure to talk to. And I have on the left-hand side the claims. Now, typically, hopefully you guys can see this, but typically you have 20 claims before you have to start paying claim access fees. And actually, this past year, if you have more than 20 claims, man, the fees are, they have increased, unfortunately. So you have to think real hard about having additional claims. And you typically have 3 independent claims, and then you have a dependent claim. So what is an independent claim? An independent claim is a self-supporting claim. So claim 1, you see it's a vehicle assembly comprising. Whereas claim 2 is the vehicle assembly of claim 1. So claim 2 depends off claim 1 and therefore is a dependent claim. An independent claim, and claim 1 is an independent claim. That being that it does not depend from another claim. It's a self-supporting claim or self-standing claim. You typically, in your 20 claims, what you see here, claim 20, you typically will have 2 to 3 independent claims, and you'll have the rest dependent claims. It seems like claim 1 is an independent claim. Then they also have claim 11 as an independent claim. So they only have 2 independent claims in this case, but you're allowed 3 independent claims of your 20 claims before you have to start paying additional claim fees. And, we're going to kind of at least talk through the first independent claim, claim 1, which is typically the broadest claim. And we're going to talk about it in view of figure 6 here. So if I go up here, you see figure 6A. I can go all the way. Like I said, these are some of the figures that we saw in the article. Figure 1 we saw, figure 2 we saw. I think they show figure 3 as well. But I think figure 6C is probably best with regard to reviewing the claims, at least claim one. So we have a vehicle comprising a carrier assembly. Like I said before, this carrier assembly is 22, which again, I'm gonna go up here. This carrier assembly is 22, as you see in figure 2, but as we go down to figure 6C, what does the carrier assembly include? So the carrier assembly is connected to a vehicle, which you see here is connected to, I think it was the rear bumper of the vehicle. It has a first arm configured to connect the first location on the vehicle. 42 is the first arm, and a second arm configured to connect to a second location of the vehicle. This is 46. And if we go up a little bit, just to kind of put things in perspective, 46 is the second arm. 42 is the first arm. You see the first arm is connected to a first location. 18 is the bumper. The first arm is connected to that first position of the bumper. And 46, the second arm is connected to the second location of the bumper. So that's pretty much what they mean when they say, hey, this first arm is configured to connect to a first location on the vehicle, and the second arm is configured to connect to a second location of the vehicle. So that's essentially what they have there, as shown in figure 3. Then it says the second location is spaced outboard of the first location. So obviously, 46, which is the second arm, this is, outboard of the first location. This is the first location, and the second location is outboard or closer towards the, outer portion of the vehicle than the first arm. So that makes sense so far. Then it says the carrier assembly configured to pivot between the stowed position. I would call it a deployed position, but they're calling it an accessing position. And as I said before, this is the stowed position of that carrier assembly, and this is the deployed position, or the accessing position, as they call it, of the carrier assembly. So again, that's essentially claim 1. If claim 1 was allowed as is, and I can tell you from experience that they probably going to have to amend the claim to add more limitations to it, but that's essentially what they're essentially claiming. They're claiming a carrier assembly 22 that has a first arm, a second arm, and the carrier assembly is configured to pivot between a stowed position, which you see in figure 1, a deployed position that you see in figure 2, and essentially that second arm is outboard of that first arm. So this is the first arm you see is here, and the second arm is connected to the vehicle at a position outboard. So that's essentially what they are claiming in claim 1. Hopefully you guys got something out of that. You guys have to let me know in the comment section. Number 1, do you think this claim is allowable? I personally, as a patent attorney, think it's a little broad, and they're going to have to kind of add some more limitations to it. But as written, that's what they are claiming. Hopefully you guys got something out of, or understood how you read a patent application when you kind of look at it, or read the claims when you look at it in view of the drawings. You guys have to let me know. Like I said, number 1, do you think that claim would be allowed, or do you think they're going to have to add some more limitations? I personally think they're going to have to add some more limitations. Then number 2, do you think this is new? We saw the article that talked about, hey, it seemed like this is an aftermarket part already. So do you think what they have based on the drawings that I showed, do you think that this carrier assembly is new? And then number 3, would you buy the Bronco or any other Ford vehicle that has this carrier assembly? I personally think it's a lot of use to it. I think it's a lot of convenience to it, being able to access the spare tire without having to open a tailgate of the actual vehicle. But that's kind of just my thoughts on it. I would like to hear your guys' thoughts in the comment section. Do you think, or essentially, would you buy a Ford Bronco or another Ford vehicle that has this particular invention on it? So those are my 3 asks of you. Number 1, do you think the claim is going to be allowed as is? Number 2, do you think it's new, or do you think it's already out there? And then number 3, would you buy the vehicle with this particular invention? Would you buy a Ford vehicle with this particular invention? I would love to hear from you guys on those 3 points in the comment section. Please hit a like button for the YouTube algorithm. Let's start 2025 off right. I'm pretty excited about what I have in store for you guys. And again, going along those lines, please hit the subscribe button to join the IP community. And again, I'm trying to help you guys not only kind of think about IP differently, but also protect your IP and ultimately monetize off your IP, because this stuff is extremely valuable. Hey, that's why we're looking at this stuff. And Ford has thousands of patents to their name, in addition to copyrights and trademarks as well. So hopefully you guys got something out of this video, and I'll catch you guys next time.